Alright, how's everybody doing this evening? Back again with another video for you guys and gals. And today, or this evening, what I have for everyone is something a little bit different for you guys and gals. This evening, what I want to do is I want to go over the apps that I use to verify the hardware and software on every device that I pick up and give you guys and gals coverage on, okay? And these apps I feel are especially important with the fact that these devices that we picking up these days are getting more and more expensive, and it's now more important than ever that we verify what actually we're getting. This way we know that we're getting our money's worth. So hopefully after I run through these apps, y'all will get a general idea of their usefulness. And just so we can get this out the way, this video here this evening is being recorded with the 12 megapixel rear facing camera on the Samsung Galaxy S7 Active, and we're using the auto billow lens and the Amazon Basics cardioid microphone to record the audio. Alright, and all the links to all the websites and apps that I'm getting ready to talk about with you guys and gals will be available down below in the video description for your convenience. So if your interest is piqued, as always, everything that I talk about will be available down below in the video description. So it's going to be your one-stop shop. That being said, now that we've gotten that out the way, let's dive straight into these apps and websites. So the first thing I do when I get a device and I want to verify that it has all of the specifications that the manufacturer said it has is I go to the manufacturer's website. So the first thing I do is jump on here and we go into Google Chrome. This particular device that y'all are seeing right here is the Samsung Galaxy M20. So I jumped on to Samsung.com. This is the Indian site because that's the only way I can get the specifications for the M20, and this is what I was able to find. So right here, all I did was go to the device, and then I went to specifications, and then this is all the specifications that Samsung has up on their site for the Samsung Galaxy M20. So it is an octa-core processor, and it does have a 1080p display. Alright. And if we keep scrolling here, the octa-core processor is broken down into two clusters. One cluster of chips is clocked at 1.8 gigahertz, and the other cluster of chips is clocked at 1.6 gigahertz. Matter of fact, let me give y'all a better close-up of that. There we go. Nice and matter of fact, that's too close. There we go. That's pretty good. So y'all can see 1.8 gigahertz and 1.6 gigahertz respectively. And then you can verify that it is a 1080p display right there. And then here is some camera information. So it does have autofocus with the primary camera, not with the wide angle camera. It doesn't have OIS. Okay, that's the aperture for the front facing camera. And you can verify that the front facing camera is 8 megapixels. Alright, and no autofocus or OIS with the front facing camera. And you can also verify that you can shoot up to 1080p videos at 30 frames per second. And here on the manufacturer's website, as I've noticed with a lot of other manufacturers, they don't list both tiers of the device because this device comes in a 332 variant and a 464 variant. A lot of the manufacturers tend to list the highest specification variant on their site. So you can see it's the 4 gig of RAM variant and the 64 gigs of onboard storage variant. But what is nice here is that they went ahead and told you the actual storage that you're going to get out of the box. And you can see out of the box, you're going to have available to you, the user, 50 gigabytes. So really good stuff there. And you can verify that it does have micro SD card expansion up to a 512 gigabyte card. It is dual SIMs. That's dual nano SIMs. Okay. So that's 2 SIMs and a micro SD card slot. Good stuff there. And you can verify all the stuff that's supported. So 2G, 4G, 3G, 4G LTE, and they do list the bands supported on this device. So all good stuff there. And if we scroll down, you can see we do have USB Type-C, we have GPS support, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack here, we don't have NFC, okay, we have 802.11 BGN, single band Wi-Fi at 2.4 gigahertz. We do have Bluetooth 5.0, so that's nice. And this is a list of all the sensors that are built into the device. Okay, the dimensions and weight, and the battery size. So technically it's supposed to have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, and this is the estimates that it will last you when you do these things. Alright, so all this stuff is available on the manufacturer's website. Okay, but I like to take it a step further, and I like to actually check 3 websites. So the next thing that I do after I check out the manufacturer's website is I jump over to one of my all-time favorite websites in gsmarena.com, and then again we just verify all of the specifications again. Okay, so let me scroll this back to the top, and I really like the layout for GSM Arena. So again, we can verify that it's a 1080p display, but we actually get an actual screen size this time at 6.3 inches. Okay, we do have a 13 megapixel rear facing camera, again, which maxes out at 1080p video recording. 4 gig of RAM is the top variant here, and it is an Exynos processor, and it does have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And as we scroll down, we can get more information, including this right here is what I feel is very important: the different variants of the device. Okay, this way you know what variants is going to work for your specific location. And then we have all of the LTE bands supported here, listed out very nicely on gsmarena.com. Okay, the release of the device, the weight of the device, what it's made out of, so glass on the front and plastic for the rest of the body. Dual SIM support, as I said. This is also important right here. It's a TFT panel, so it's not regular IPS LCD, it's not regular Gorilla Glass, it's a TFT panel. And you get the screen density and again the resolution, and you can verify the chipset here. So we do have an Exynos chipset with a Mali GPU, and they do list out both storage variants. So that's something that I really like about GSM Arena. Camera specifications, all that good stuff is here. But again, after I'm comfortable with this, I like to check one more site. Shout out to Gadget Goddess for hooking your boy up with this site. So then I jump over to KimOval.com, and once again I verify all of the information. I'm a stickler for information, and this is really a big habit for me because this was ingrained in me in my college years, because every time we did a paper in college, we had to cite our sources with at least 5 sources for each thing that we used in our papers. So that's why I'm kind of like this. I have 3 sites that I like to check to verify the information. Then I have a bunch of apps that I physically like to download to again verify the information. This way, when I'm getting ready to shoot the full review for you guys and gals, I can be as accurate as possible. Okay, so those are the 3 websites that I like to use. And now let's jump into the apps. Okay, so I like to use these right here. So this is device info. Alright, and then this is device info /HW, CPUZ, CPUX, and then my device info right here. And I like to use all of these because it gives me a full breakdown of the hardware and the software on any device that I pick up. I also like to do a deep dive in Antutu because it allows you to pull back to go in and get the code and verify all of the hardware and software. So when I run the Antutu benchmark, I also take note of all of those specifications that it pulls off. Alright, so jumping in, let me give you an idea of what this looks like. So this one right here, the device info, the first one, the main page here gives me my network speeds. Okay, it will give me my processor capabilities here, my RAM usage, my battery percentage, and my GPS direction via the compass. And if I click here, I can get more information. So I can verify the actual software and security patch. So this is running Android 9.0 Pie, and it is on the March 7th security patch for 2018. So it's not the latest, but it is what it is. Okay. And I can also verify the sensors here. And you can see we have 17 sensors in total. So good stuff there. But the big things that I like to verify, and this is very important, I like to verify the display, the battery, and the cameras. Okay? But I can also check the CPU, so I can see the cores and what their clock speeds are. But this is the big three that I like to check with this app. So I jump over to the battery, and it gives me the full breakdown of the battery and the health and the temperature and the actual battery size. So you can see right here, the actual battery size for this device is 4,900 milliamps. So, okay, I was quite surprised to see this, and Tutu also verified this. It's supposed to be 5,000 milliamps. What is this? 4,900. Okay. And then the next thing that's really important to me is the display. Now, the display is another important factor because with all these curved displays and teardrop notch displays, everybody's claiming that their display is bigger than it is. And at the end of the day, all I care about is the physical size of the display. So you can see, although this is a 6.3 inch display, the actual physical size is 5.8 inches. Alright, and you can see the screen density there as well. Good stuff there. And then lastly, whoops, hit the wrong button. Lastly, I like to check out the cameras. Okay, so here we can verify that it is a 12 megapixel camera, even though they said it's a 13. I believe it's actually a 12.8 megapixel camera, even though it's supposed to be 13 for the rear. And the funny thing is, they don't recognize the ultra wide sensor, and that's the thing about some of these apps. They sometimes don't get all of the correct information, so some of this you have to take with a little bit of a grain of salt. Okay, so that's the rear facing camera, and then you can see it recognizes the front facing camera as a 7 megapixel sensor, even though it's supposed to be an 8 megapixel sensor. So that's app number 1. Okay, then the next app, I like to get even more information here. So starting off, if we swipe through, this is the general information, where again, I can verify the resolution, the chipset, the Android version, and the memory. Okay, and then if I swipe this way, I can verify the clock speeds for the processor. Alright, and if we keep swiping here, we can get all of the system information, including the actual model number, and then verify the actual available memory. Okay? Because for those of you who don't know, we don't actually get the specifications quoted on paper and in all of these commercials, because the Android system has to reserve some memory on both the RAM and the overall storage. So you can see here, after everything is all set up, the system actually reserves a little bit. So instead of getting 3 gigs of RAM, we actually get 2730. And instead of getting 32 gigabytes of storage, we actually get about 25. So 24.46. Okay, and the same thing for your SD card. So y'all can see I have a 128 gig SD card in here, but the system has to reserve some, so I actually only get access to 119 gigabytes. Okay, and then we have some more camera information here. If I swipe over, this time it does recognize that it's a 13 megapixel sensor and an 8 megapixel sensor, and I get the focal ranges, alright, and the aperture. So we get a 1.9 aperture lens on the front and the rear. Okay, and we get the focal lengths. So 3.7 millimeters is the maximum focal length here. Good stuff there. And you can see for the front facing camera, which is an 8 megapixel sensor, it has a 2.2 aperture and a 3.3 millimeter focal length. Okay, so that's important because that way you know how close you can get to a subject before the camera loses all focus. So that's really good to know. Alright, and then once again, over here we can verify the battery. And this is another one that says we actually have a 4900 milliamp hour battery. Okay, and the funny thing is, a lot of the apps that I used to verify this stuff kept spitting out 4900 milliamp hour battery, not 5000. So I was a little bit surprised by that. So that's app number 2. Then next, we jump into CPUZ. Alright, and again, we get some of the same information here, but more of a different layout. Okay, so Android version, security patch, and model number. Alright, and again verifying the RAM, the display, and the storage. And this time it actually picked up the correct display size at 6.3 inches. So you can see 6.29, basically 6.3. Alright, and if we go over here, you can see that it is an Exynos processor, but it's based on 2 Cortex A73s and then 6 Cortex A53s, and those are the clock speeds, and here are the individual clock speeds. And again, we have a Mali G71 GPU. Alright, so that's CPUZ. Alright, and then if we go to the next one here, this is CPUX, and again we can verify the same information. So battery, okay, then if we click over, in fact, I gotta click back on this, we can verify the cameras. Okay, so this time it's saying we have a 12.8 megapixel rear facing camera. Okay, but we still get the same focal lengths and the same apertures. This time we get the digital zoom maximum, so we have four times digital zoom with this device. But again, none of these apps seem to recognize the secondary 5 megapixel ultra wide sensor. Okay, but here we go. 8 megapixel front facing sensor, 2.2 aperture, again 4 times digital zoom there. Alright, so y'all pretty much get the idea of how these apps work, and that about does it. Let me jump into this last one for y'all, and again it's just more of the same. So you can see this way, we can see the device info here and the model, and verify that it is an Exynos processor, but it has a slightly off display here. But if we keep moving here, you can see we can verify the battery here, right? And we can also verify the sensors, alright, and the cameras yet again. Okay, and this is pretty much what I like to do on all of my devices. And this is something I do aside from running benchmarks, aside from doing gaming performance. I do this as well. This way, as I said, when I give y'all that full review, my information that I deliver to y'all can be as accurate as possible. Okay, so that pretty much does it for this video, guys and gals. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and or found it helpful. If you did, y'all know what to do. Please help your boy out and give the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You don't know how much. If you want to see more content like this, also feel free to hit the subscribe button down below and click off the notification bell icon right next to it so you guys and gals get notified when I publish new videos. As I said at the beginning, all the links to everything that I talked about will be available down below in the video description. So if you would like to check out any of these apps and verify some things on your device for yourself, y'all hit up the video description and you should be good to go. I hope everyone has a great evening, and I will catch you guys and gals on my next video. Peace, everyone.